Support WrestleTalk!
CM Punk is no longer in AEW. Yeah, well, I could have told you that, Ollie. Kenny Omega was biting a man's arm on last week's episode of Dynamite. Well, I say to you, this is the first time of my knowledge that an AEW star, a current AEW star, has publicly said that Punk isn't in AEW anymore. I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Tempest. No longer your Jam That Champion. Please press the subscribe button and leave comments down below with what you think of this situation. This comes from Stokely Hathaway's appearance on Renee Paquette's The Sessions podcast.
Really glad she changed that name.
From the Oral Sessions?
Mm-hmm.
That's a much better name.
It's terrible.
There's no other interpretations
Not
of
a
it.
single one.
So Stokely Hathaway talked about his faction, The Firm in AEW, which of course helped MJF win that rubbish casino ladder match.
Yep.
A match so bad Jon Moxley made fun of it the other week.
Yep.
On AEW programming. They helped MJF win that chip, and that was like the big heel faction ruse to then go into the MJF CM Punk feud that was obviously planned. But then CM Punk did the whole media scrum, and whatever plans for that was scrapped. And the Firm were just kind of awkwardly placed into the storyline with Moxley.
Yep. And even still, probably not even placed into the storyline, like kind of forcibly placed in and then slowly kind of removed from the storyline.
They were adjacent to the storyline, and they sometimes dabbled.
Yes.
Anyway, that wasn't the original plan, of course. So much changed after those crazy events after All Out. And Hathaway said, everything that was supposed to happen with the Firm did not happen. Back at All Out, what happened immediately after the pay-per-view, that was a huge part of it. Of course, he's talking about Punk's media scrum comments there. The person we were supposed to directly feud with is no longer in the company. Now, of course, this person is CM Punk. CM Punk is no longer in the company. AEW stars are now just talking about it on AEW sanctioned podcasts.
This is interesting. This is a development. This is a precedent being set, because before this, I mean, he's still he who shall not be named, apparently. But this is the first time we've seen people go out and kind of talk about this more than just no comment and this and that. Like, now it's not so much hush hush anymore, it seems, which you kind of figured may possibly happen after the conclusion of the investigation. But now it is looking a little bit more interesting, because that would seem to indicate that's a little bit more official. But do we know that? Is that just Stokely Hathaway saying something and, you know, using words that sound official? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like no longer with the company. What does that mean? Does that mean he is currently not on TV? Does that mean his entire contract has been terminated? I don't know. I guess it could be taken either way, but it's a definite shift in response, because pre-Full Gear, pre the Elite returning and things like Colt Cabana being in that ROH title match, anyone who was asked either said no comment or they said, it's just a shame. I'm just upset. You know, that not really alluding to any developments. But here, this is Hathaway saying, well, this intended plan for the biggest storyline in the company, for the biggest star, can't happen because that biggest star is no longer with the company.
Yeah. And it goes to show that pretty much everything that we had said on our shows and what a lot of people had said regarding the time period between All Out and Full Gear storyline-wise was pretty accurate. I mean, we all kind of knew that. Obviously, what happened was not the plan, but even more so that this plan that went to play with the Firm in general was not at all what was intended.
I think maybe from a storyline revamp, you can see Full Gear as the moment AEW got back on course.
Yes.
MJF became champion, Regal turned heel to side with him. Maybe that Regal stuff actually only came about a month or two ago because the Firm were meant to be in that place.
Yeah,
Stokely
could well do.
Hathaway were meant to be in that place.
Could be a sign of Tony Khan being that level of adaptable that we kind of hoped that he would be, to pivot from what that plan was into something with with MJF and William Regal that is still very interesting and very entertaining.
So it's not just a storyline reset, it's also a reset of what AEW stars are allowed to talk about publicly. So we'll have to see now if people start tweeting more openly that yes, CM Punk is done. There's still been no official statement from the company on any of this. Not just CM Punk's status, but the fact it all happened, the World Championship being relinquished. You know, that was just oh, by the way, we need a new World Champion now. So that's the bit of hesitation I have. I feel like AEW should make an announcement before people, like their stars, just say on podcasts.
Yeah, you kind of want to get out ahead of something like that. You want to be the one to set the official tone and, you know, just be the first one, be the official voice, be what everybody can look to and be like, oh, that's the story. Not having to piece it together from hearsay and little bits and pieces from just Stokely Hathaway on a podcast or whatever we might hear from this point onward.
So Hathaway does go on quite interestingly because he spoke about how these feud faction plans for the firm came together. You know, maybe once upon a time in an alternate universe, maybe the firm were the next, I don't know, who's a really good faction?
The Shield.
It's only 3 guys.
Oh, DX.
Yes.
The NWO.
The new Pinnacle.
Oh, the new Pinnacle. The new
I like
inner
the Pinnacle.
Yeah, the new inner circle.
Yeah, who'd be at the Pinnacle with a new inner circle, and then the firm would be the new Pinnacle.
Oh wow. There's a connective tissue going. It's MJF going from the inner circle to the Pinnacle to the firm.
I always thought it was a mistake to not have them all named after shapes because AEW loves factions named after shapes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I'm with you. Yeah.
I just thought you were going to riff off that a bit more. I didn't have anything prepared.
No? Okay. Well, what other shape did you want them to be?
Well, we've got the inner circle. We've got Death Triangle. Yeah. A parallelogram of pain. The pain in that. That doesn't work.
No,
anyway,
try. Work it out.
Anyway, Hathaway carried on talking and said, that was one thing I was looking forward to because I was hand-chosen for that role. I'm just going to say it. I don't know the specifics about people choosing sides. I just know that CM Punk said, hey, I want to work with this guy. That means a lot, regardless of what has happened.
So there's a few things to take away from all of this. Obviously, I don't think CM Punk was looking at his actions at All Out as his exit from the company at all.
No.
Not that that was in question, but he was still very much looking to the future of what he was going to be doing next. And I don't know if a CM Punk firm feud would have been any good, but at the very least, it seems like we would have gotten some motivated, impassioned, inspired promos between Punk and Hathaway, and that at the very least sounds entertaining.
Yeah, I think it would probably be MJF's normal way of booking a feud, which I love. I'm not criticizing. I think it's very good. And if it ain't broke, why fix it? But it is. MJF has a faction of guys, and then you have to defeat every member of the faction before you can face him.
Yeah. He's done this a number of times where even if it isn't a faction, it's you have to run the gauntlet of what I want you to do in order to get to me. Did it with Cody, having to face Wardlow in the cage and then take the lashes and everything, and did it with Jericho. This is something that I think works. I think it's a really good, like, hero's trial type story archetype that we've been going for here. And would that work when it's CM Punk going up against the Ass Boys and W. Morrissey and that sort of thing? I don't know. I liked CM Punk's match with Lee Moriarty earlier this year a lot, and I think that CM Punk and Ethan Page could be a fun match, but I don't know. I don't know how much I would have enjoyed CM Punk and the firm, but that might just be because my entire idea of what the firm is has just sort of been what we've been forced to be given since All Out. I don't know.
I've just been so consistently impressed with MJF and Punk's feuds that I think I just trust them that they would be able to do something great. But it would be tricky because you told this story back in January, February, where Punk had to go through Spears in that brilliant, like, 10-second squash. He had to go through Wardlow, which was the other end of the spectrum. Like, he had to really, like, go through everything there. So you'd just have that. But yeah, with the Ass Boys, maybe FTR would be involved. You spin off that feud. But that leaves, Punk with W. Morrissey, and Punk versus Ethan Page would probably be the biggest match you could do there.
I would think so. And yeah, it's just weird. I think if you mix in Punk promos with MJF, Punk promos with Stokely Hathaway, throughout that, I think that whole rivalry becomes a lot more palatable, obviously, because, again, the CM Punk MJF feud is still my rivalry of the year. I think it's the best told story that AEW has done outside of what's happened with the Elite and everything. So I have no doubt that the continuation of that story would have been just as excellent. But it does seem a little bit strange to have the matches interspliced into all of that be with the Ass Boys. Would we have gotten CM Punk versus Colton Gunn just on Dynamite as a featured match? I have no idea, and I don't know how much I would have been excited for it.
And I don't think in that part of Punk's career, if you want him having loads of matches on TV, because he was so accident prone at the end with all the injuries. I think this will probably be one of those things we look back on and make lists about in 5 years' time, where we're like, oh yeah, that Regal MJF partnership was absolutely amazing. It could have been with Stokely Hathaway in the firm. How would that work? Similar to like, was it Jindrak instead of Batista in Evolution?
A real what if list of moments, things that could have happened in a parallel universe.
Maybe, no offense to Hathaway, but considering how excited I am for MJF and Regal, things we're glad didn't happen.
Oh no.
Unfair to say. What do you guys think anyway? Leave your comments down below. Would you have liked a Punk versus The Firm getting to MJF feud, or do you actually prefer this MJF Regal storyline that we've stumbled onto? Let us know in the comments down below. Press subscribe and go and check out Luke's video from Stay with a backstage bust-up between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. But for now, I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Tempest. Jam that jam.